standing on the roof of the world, strapped into a snowboard. He'd set out to do something that nobody had ever done on Everest. But then, he vanished. No warning, no trace, just gone. What really happened up there? This isn't just another climbing story. It's the most shocking way a mountaineer got lost on Mount Everest. Marco Siffredi wasn't your typical mountaineer. Born in a town in France, nestled in the shadow of Mont Blanc, he grew up surrounded by towering peaks and stories of alpine legends. But he was never interested in following the usual path. While other climbers focused on reaching the top, he had his eyes on something far more daring: snowboarding down the world's most dangerous mountains. From a young age, he chased adrenaline. He climbed, he rode, and he pushed boundaries nobody else dared to. By the time he was in his early 20s, he'd already etched his name into the extreme sports world. But Everest was different. It wasn't just the tallest mountain on Earth. For him, it was the ultimate canvas. In 2001, he pulled off something extraordinary. He became the first person to snowboard down Everest, carving his way through the steep, icy Norton Couloir. It was a ride that should have made him a legend. But Marco wasn't satisfied. That descent had been Plan B. His real goal, the one he'd obsessed over for years, was still untouched. The Mountaineer Couloir. Steeper, narrower, and far more dangerous, it was unlike anything he'd ever attempted. For Marco, it wasn't about fame. It was about finishing the line he'd started in his head long ago. And so, a year after his first Everest descent, he returned. This time, he was determined to ride the mountain his way, no matter the cost. Every new challenge he faced only fueled his hunger for more, pushing the limits of what seemed humanly possible. Mount Everest has always been the ultimate test for climbers, but summiting is only half the battle. The mountain's unpredictable. Its thin air, brutal winds, and shifting ice have claimed the lives of some of the world's most skilled mountaineers. Every year, Everest reminds the world that it doesn't care about experience, strength, or preparation. Marco understood that risk better than most, but to him, Everest was a challenge unlike any other, a monumental, almost mythical undertaking. And the Mountaineer was the most dangerous line. It's not just steep, it's almost vertical in places, with towering rock walls that trap snow and ice in a frozen chute of pure unpredictability. Unlike the Norton, which Marco had successfully ridden the year before, this was a whole other ballgame, far less forgiving and much more treacherous. No snowboarder had ever attempted it, and most climbers even avoided it altogether, fearing its deadly reputation. The chances of an avalanche were high, the descent route unpredictable, and one wrong move could send him plunging thousands of feet down Everest's north face. Despite knowing all of this in his mind, this was unfinished business. This was the ride that mattered, the one that would define his career. So, in August of 2002, he returned to Everest, determined to make history once again. He was confident, he was prepared, but Everest doesn't care about confidence. And this time, he wouldn't be coming back. The moment he dropped into the Mountaineer, everything seemed to be going according to plan. He had the skill, he had the preparation, and the drive to pull it all off. But nobody would ever know for sure what happened next. He was last seen by his team near the summit, determined, confident, and ready to make history. And after that, silence. Nobody saw him again. Nobody heard from him. He never emerged. The Sherpas waiting below grew concerned when hours passed with no sign of him. They sent out a search party scouting the mountain but found nothing. No snowboard tracks, no equipment, no trace of his descent. It was as if though he had just vanished into the abyss, swallowed whole by the mountain. As the search continued, rumors and theories began to swirl. Some wondered if he'd fallen into a hidden crevasse, a common danger on Everest's steepest slopes. Others speculated that an avalanche may have swept him away. But no matter how many questions arose, one thing was certain: he was gone. The mystery deepened as the days passed. The search parties returned empty-handed, and his body was never found. No answers, no closure, just a strange emptiness of the world's highest peak, which had swallowed him whole. Everest had claimed another soul, this time with no explanation, no evidence, and no farewell. It left behind a haunting question: what had happened to Marco on that fateful descent? His disappearance sent shockwaves through the mountaineering and snowboarding communities. His daring attempt to snowboard down had captured the world's attention, and his tragic loss left a profound impact on those who knew him. His friends, family, and fellow adventurers were left with a mixture of disbelief, confusion, and sorrow. How could somebody so skilled, so prepared, and so passionate simply vanish without a trace? The questions surrounding his disappearance became even more haunting when no body or trace was ever found. Theories continued to circulate. Some speculated that his body had been buried under an avalanche, while others believed that he'd fallen into a crevasse deep within the collier. His disappearance fueled debates about the dangers of pushing the limits on Everest and the true cost of pursuing such extreme feats. Despite the mystery, his legacy endured. He became a symbol of the extreme spirit, a reminder of the passion that drives people to conquer the impossible. To many, his journey wasn't a tragic end, but the fulfillment of a dream to test the boundaries of human achievement. His death was a powerful reminder of the risks that come with attempting what nobody else dares to do. Yet his courage inspired adventurers worldwide to take on their own impossible challenges. And the years that followed, his disappearance became one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of Everest. Although his name lived on in the hearts of adventurers and snowboarders, the mountain kept its secrets, leaving behind only questions for admirers and his family members to ponder. His disappearance serves as a chilling reminder of the fine line between human ambition and nature's unforgiving power. While many see his attempt as the pinnacle of adventure, it's also a stark reminder and a warning about the consequences of pushing the limits too far. In the pursuit of greatness, we sometimes forget that nature doesn't care about our dreams. Everest, in all of its majesty, has no interest in human triumphs. It claims lives, not out of malice, but simply because it's indifferent to the plans of those who dare to challenge it. His legacy isn't just about the snowboard descent that captivated the world. It's about the spirit of adventure, the desire to explore the unknown, and the willingness to face the impossible. His name continues to inspire new generations of mountaineers, snowboarders, and adventurers, even as his fate remains one of Everest's most enduring mysteries. And yet, despite the awe that surrounds his story, there's a darker truth. Even the greatest adventurers can vanish without a trace, swallowed by the mountain's vast, treacherous expanse. So although he disappeared, he became part of the mountain's legend, a ghost that haunts the slopes where so many have met their end. The question remains, was Marco's fate sealed the moment he stepped onto that slope? Or did Everest simply wait for him to return? Everest claims many things: dreams, lives, and sometimes even the memories of those who dared to climb. But for him, it claims something far more haunting: the uncertainty of his final moments, the unanswered question that echoes in the minds of all who seek to conquer it. His disappearance remains one of Everest's greatest mysteries. Although his legacy lives on, the mountain keeps its secrets, and some answers are never meant to be found. Until next time.